think it's completely natural. It's a human tendency. It's what we call um, this human flaw that we all inherently have, um, and some of us learn, fortunately, to uh, adapt, grow, and change out of this type of mindset. It's having and operating in this scarcity mindset, and not being able to see the abundance. Um, Especially when we're starting new endeavors, especially when we have ideas and concepts and these things that we can bring to the table, bring to the market, provide a service in a certain niche. For me, that was training. That was football training. Um, and when I first got into this market, when I first jumped into the field, I was a coach, and I saw the necessity and the need for one-on-one coaching and small group coaching to be and provide more intimacy, in a way, provide more structure, provide more standard outside of the hour that I was being allowed it to coach children. And um, I was doing this in the States, and it was at the time it was a very competitive market, and I had this mindset that everything had to be perfect. If I was going to go into this market, I needed to be top notch. I needed to make sure that I was stepping in and that I was going to compete, and that the competitors around, that I was going to be able to like beat them in the market. That I had to have this certain je ne sais quoi about what I was doing, to take away from the competitors. And this was a mindset that kept me in stagnation, and it kept me in complacency. I wasn't able to grow um, my business until I redirected what was important to me, and redefined the purpose of why I was doing it. Um, at some points, I was operating from this gain of this money, and it was, and I've never been that type of person, but it was because of the person that came in to help. Now, I'm a pretty strong person. I'm a pretty confident person. It's took me years in God's glory to really get me to that point. But there was some facets in my life, especially a couple years ago, especially when I'm starting something and I'm so vulnerable and I'm so unaware of how business works and how to build up these things without connections and just doing it on my own. I was so unaware, and I felt like I needed uh, certain people in certain environments and communities, and needing a money guy to really get the ball rolling. So me and my best friend Leticia, we were coaching indoor futsal team for Mexican La Liga, and I had this idea that we wanted to do one-on-one trainings and small group trainings, to really, like I said, offer more structure, more standard, more intimacy, make the game more fun and more creative, to really improve the kids that were coming through our teams, and also going out to play football because they loved it. Um, and I spoke with him, one of the dads, about this idea, and I knew that he was a money guy. I knew that he was really good with numbers, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with people being good with money or being good with numbers, but you also have to be very aware and use discernment when bringing people into the fold, especially when their morals and their values and their principle don't align up with the purpose of why you are trying to do something. And um, like I said, me just wanting to gain and be this entrepreneur, to get out on my own and not have to work for anyone else, and be able to stand on my 2 feet, this pull yourself by your bootstraps mentality. I was just ready to like go full frontal, and trust this guy, because he was good with money. He seemed to be good with business. He seemed to be like talking all this numerical jargon that I was like, oh yeah, this is good. Let me just trust this guy. And I did that. For a while, like he was helping me, and we built. Um, all off of the strength of what me and my best friend Leticia had done, me and my co-partner, me and my co-coach, what we have done already from the strength of our own being out in the community and being out in different environments and communities, that we already had this type of um, backing, and people knew who we were. But like I said, we wanted to take it to the next level. I have to say that my best friend, she was already against it. She was like, "Look, I don't trust him." But me, just wanting to see the good in people, um, I wanted to give him a try, because I felt like I was so confident in myself, and so confident to not compromise my morals and my values. To no matter who you are, um, I'm the type of man that's just gonna stand 10 toes down to be true. And I end up doing that. But like I said, for a while, he was helping us out. He was getting, paying for jerseys and paying for all these things. And I was working for an academy at the time, and I had connections to fields and all sorts of like that. I was working with them um, to be a branch off of their academy, and try to work in conjunction to them to have my own subsidiary program, that where I can run in and get other coaches in, and really connect with the community, because the academy that I was working with at the time was a great academy, has great coaches, but they were only serving one part of the community in the region that I was in. It was mostly for affluent families who could afford the pay to play soccer system. And even though that they had scholarships that they were offering to um, kids who couldn't afford it otherwise, I felt like they were far and few between. Now, this academy did have certain programs, but um, it was, I felt like some of them were not getting out into the communities to uh, advertise. They weren't getting out there enough. They didn't have enough people who come from these communities, who were torn from these cloths, to really connect. There was a disconnect, and I was trying to help bridge that gap. The dad that I was, who was our money guy, he um, did not want to work with Fusion at all. And I did understand his apprehensions. I did understand where he was coming from, right? I understood the conglomerate and the monopoly that they controlled in the academy. I understood that without the academy, um, that they were they controlled a lot of the board. It was in the soccer football realm, in that community, they controlled a lot of it. They had the best facilities that everyone typically used if you were not able to rent out a school. They had some of the best sponsorship jerseys. The connections to the MLS team. They had a lot of pull, a lot of donors, a lot of, like I said, sponsorships, the jerseys, the kits, the strike. Like, they had so much. So it, in my mind, it was best to not burn a bridge with this academy, and to keep them and work in tandem with them. And we continue to build them up and get them out into these other community by bridging this gap, and they in turn help us. His dad did not want that at all. He was saying that they were racist and all these other things. And um, to be fair, of course, there's going to always be undertones of that when you have affluent people, no matter what color they are, that they are going to, whether they intentionally or they unintentionally do it, they're going to look down on certain people because they come from certain communities. Um, I was raised in a manner to like never allow that to affect me. I am human, and I do, and I have noticed it uh, when it has come apart. But again, I was raised in such a way that I was very confident in what I do, and I was always taught to be the best, and give the absolute effort in everything that I do. So no matter of my skin tone, no matter if you see the grills or the chains or the hair, um, I was educating myself, and I was pouring everything into coaching, and I was going to make sure that I knew what I was talking about, and I was also willing to learn. So no matter what, I was going to compete with the best of people, and not in this way of just winning, 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 but to ensure that if you if you task me with a duty, a role, a job, I'm going to pour everything into it. So I wasn't worried about what people thought of me. I was going to do so good of a job that they had to respect that, if that makes sense. But so this dad was just carrying on, and just was taking this posture of just being like, and he was from the Hispanic region. He was Mexican and Dominican, and he just viewed rich white people in I wouldn't say a negative light, but in a light that they take everything from us. They take everything from us, black and brown people. They want to keep us down. These type of mindsets that people do fall into. I just wasn't one of them. I was, like I said, I was strong in the sense of who I was, and I was confident in the authenticity that I had. And so we came into it, and I got the go ahead to work with the academy to like, hey, we'll build up your program. Um, and it was great. Like we had a indoor gym facility that we were able to rent out because I was also working there as a manager, and I was getting a really good deal on using the indoor space. And we were churning and having these sessions, uh, 50, 75 to 100 kids, 3 days, 2 days, 2 to 3 days a week. And it was beautiful. It was really thriving. Um, and, you know, we brought in a couple more other coaches to help us out because it was very hard to run a session with 100 kids with one coach. So we brought in other coaches who were excited, and these guys were older than me, but were great men. They knew the game. They come from different cultures. It was great to expose our kids to different styles of football, and that's why I initially wanted it. It came to a point to where people around me in these spaces like the academy and the indoor spaces that I was renting was noticing the dad had ulterior motives. And though I did see them, again, I was trying to see the good in him. I was trying to give him an opportunity, a chance to be like, you know what, this is early on in my Christian walk too, where um, again I was trying to plant seed. I wanted to be clear that I didn't want this to be an academy to where we start a team and we travel around. That's a whole nother beast inside of itself, right? When you have an academy team or you run an academy, if you do not have the proper coaching and the education and the standard and the structure, that is a different beast. And the insurances and the traveling and the fees, that's a beast in itself to operate. I didn't want to get into that realm because being and working in that realm, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. Um, Maybe on in the future, no, not even. I don't even think that I would ever want to jump into uh, that lane because I know that's not my lane. I know that I would struggle to keep up. I know what I'm good at. I know my niche. So I wanted to stay in my lane. I'm not into swerving. I'm not throwing out balls to get into anyone else's lane. So I was trying to speak to this dad and the coaches around me like, look, we are a training academy. We are here to help the community and to filter these kids out to these different communities. If Fusion, the academy that I was working in partnership with, is if we have a kid who comes from this community and he has the talent enough to play for their academy and they're willing to offer him a spot and also help give some type of scholarship or payment plan and we're training them up, then they come and they can scout him. And then we can connect to these other local grassroots clubs to get kids just playing. That's what I wanted to do. And but the dad, he had other plans in mind. He wanted the money. He saw kids as price tags. Um, and that's not me trying to throw dirt on this man because what I'm going to tell you next, I still was end up forgiving this man. Um, we're getting partnerships in the people. Like I said, in my circle, we're starting to say like, look, I don't think you should trust so and so. You need to be careful. Don't be naive. Mix, like, really watch him. There's a lot of snake and shark things that he's doing behind the scenes. You really need to watch it. And like I said, me having this false sense of uh, bravado, like, nah, he wouldn't cross me, right? But people will, especially when it comes to um, money or things that they want, their own ambitions, their own devices. They will, they will do anything to feed and provide for their families and have no regard for you. Um, and that can be a bit of the human nature in us. Um, so he saw the kids and all the kids that we were getting as price tags. Like, this could really grow. We can really do something. We can make buku amounts of money. And I just wasn't with it. And this is the straw that broke the camel's back. I heard that he was doing this, and I, I I'm a very, I'm not afraid of confrontation. Um, I'm not meaning that in a way that I want to fight, and I'm looking to be beat my chest and show dominance and in disagreements with people. But I am very confident in who I am, and I'm very blunt, meaning that I'm going to address people head on and not run uh, from situations. So if I'm feeling a type of way, or I don't understand something, or I'm hearing word that you are saying something, or when you could have said it to me, because I feel like I'm very approachable, I'm going to address it. And that's what I did to these men. And I addressed it like, look, I want Wins to be a football ministry that uses football as a platform to spread the gospel. We are here to train, set a standard, to love and set a discipline on these children who some are going through turmoil. Some are just wanting to play. We have a variety of different situations that we have to assess. But what we are not wanting to do, and what the Wins is not an academy to where we can create our own teams. I don't want to do any of that. I just want to be an olive branch, essentially, and to filter these kids out and to train them up the proper way. When I said this, and I said this in this very calm tone, but like looking these men in their eyes, um, like a law fell over them. It's completely silent. And I was like, are we good? And everyone said good. And I knew everyone wasn't good because I seen the dad look at all of them with this side eye, like, and he sucked his teeth like. And when people do that as a man, I'm like, that's kind of, it's a trait. Even though I am, I'm Senegalese, I'm African, and you know, Africans do make that noise, and I've been around a lot of Mexicans, and my family's also Puerto Rican. There's a lot of sucking teeth in that. But I knew that as like, he's about to do some shisty things behind the scenes. I just didn't know what they were at the time. We continued to train, and I just noticed a difference in his demeanor of how he was approaching, not talking to me as much. So I was like, I was already mentally preparing myself for him to split, but I didn't know in the way that he was going to do it. I show up to training one day, and there was no kids rock up. There's no kids there. Absolutely ghost town. You could literally see a tumbleweed rolling through the gym. And I'm confused, and because none of the coaches and himself didn't show up either. So I'm like, well, what's going on? One family who was super loyal decided to show up. They were like, hey, Mix, I thought I'd let you know that such and such has told everyone that you were going to go up on your prices, and that you couldn't help them in certain things, that you were going to start charging them more. And so he offered us to come and play over with the team that they were starting behind me back. So while I was coaching the previous week before that, he was going around to these different parents and inserting himself and plugging himself in, like, this is what we're about to do. Mix is about to raise his prices. He's not going to be able to promise you all this. I'm the guy with the money. But we are going to go to here. We're going to start an academy team, such and such. Just promising them all these sweet little nothings. And he ended up taking half, not even half, he ended up taking every single of the kids. So like I said, we would have 50 to 75 to 100 kids on different days. He ended up taking the whole lot of them. A lot of that community was Mexican, Central, South America, and even though I spoke Spanish and understood Spanish, they were more resonated in. They seemed to connect, not in the right way to him because he could. Um, I am fluent in Spanish, but you have to speak really slow to me, like how I'm speaking right now. Like that's how you have to do. And though even though I can understand if when someone's speaking fast, I have to speak a little bit slower to get the point across. So with him being such a fluent speaker and can like get around the nuances of the language that I couldn't, even though I grew up speaking Spanish, it wasn't the main language in the house. I didn't have to use it every single day. It was just only I just knew how to use it and how pivotal it was because I lived in the community and had family members who did speak Spanish. So when you're not practicing a language every day all the time, you understand it, you know how to get your points across and speak it, but it's not like I said, you miss some of the nuances, and he was able to capitalize on that. Um, so a lot of the families end up going to him, and then after a couple weeks, when the family who was loyal to me and came and expressed what he had done, um, they reached out to other families like, Mick's still coaching, he's charging his price, he's, such and such was lying, he was taking us for, ride, Mick's is not doing any of that. And certain families start to come back. And instead of me worrying, instead of me like looking at that as failure, pack up and go home, which I think, um, and I don't know, this is just my observation from it in hindsight, that he was trying to really flatten me and desperate me and really cause me to like give up this vision and this dream of having a soccer ministry. Um, and it did, it fueled me even more. And to this day, I've spoken with the other coaches and they've all apologized. And not that I needed that apology from them, but I wanted it to understand, like, as men, why didn't they feel the need to, like, approach me and say, hey, we're going to go with such and such and do this? I'm a very approachable person. I'm a Christian man. But before I was a Christian man, I was raised on just being a man, sticking true to your word, being real, being true, standing 10 toes. So if you feel a certain type of way, we're going to address it. And if it comes down to fisticuffs, then that's what it comes down to. But we're going to take the whatever procedure, whatever precautions to not get to fisticuffs, because we don't have to have this punch on, right? We don't have to have this physical confrontation. We can agree to disagree. And if it crosses that line, or if it goes there, then we can go there. And I'm not saying that it was going to go there because wasn't looking to have a punch on with any of these coaches. I just wanted that mutual respect for me to come and address something with them, and they feel the need to sneak behind me back and do something. But I end up forgiving all these men, and we still have relationships today. But that dad never reached out. He has yet to reach out and extend a hand, and I'm not even looking for an apology. I don't need an apology from him, um, because I'm still here, and I've been able to travel the globe by the grace of God to still have the aspirations of having the Winds Ministry football training, and to take this overseas and to come back to Australia, the country that I love, and to be able to pour into this nation and grow it and be able to work in America when I go over there in the summers, or when I go over there to see my daughter, and to be able to work and have connections still and have these men still. That's an aspirations that I saw beyond my wildest dreams, but I had to stay faithful, and I had to stay unwilling to compromise, and I had to stay true to God's plan. I saw that dad a few months after he did that at the store. I waved at him. I smiled. Uh, he literally got in his car with his son and he drove off. And I'm not saying that he was scared of me, but that could have been a moment for reconciliation. He didn't take it. When you are a follower of God, when you are a follower of Jesus Christ, you will get this spirit about you. And though there's people who aren't Christian or acknowledging Jesus of who he is, you're going to have this spirit and this energy about you. And people tell me that all the time. Makes you have this energy, you have this spirit that is infectious and we've never experienced it before. And I always remind them that it's not me, it's Christ. This is none of me own. I've been tasked with a purpose. I've been tasked to be here and serve. And I've been given the opportunity to take a passion of mine that I love, which is football, that I grew up and didn't have the opportunity to like fulfill my passion of playing at the highest level. I still was able to coach at a high level of the level that I wanted to go. I was still and still able to train and make connections and meet people and work with such tremendous men and women throughout this game. And I'm still learning and I'm still taking on and I'm still growing. And I don't fear competition. I don't fear people coming in and into the market. Because why? Because I have a secret sauce about myself. I I know what I'm good at. I know how to instill structure, how to instill discipline, how to be funny, how to incorporate that with compassion and still with a high intensity that's going to get effort out of the children. I know how to ignite the fire because I've been taught that from other great coaches and other great mentors in the most high God, Yahweh, Jesus Christ. I have that as an example to know how to do that. And he's placed people in my life to either give me the great knowledge to obey because it comes in, it flows from God, or fill me with this erroneous knowledge that allows me to create bad habits and and get me closer to compromising myself. Wins.